the Crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 58 of Dads from the Crypt, Tales from the Crypt podcast. My name is Jason. Tonight, I'm joined by Mando.
Hey.
Jody, I believe, fell asleep on us, but we have a great friend and guest on, and he goes by Tommy.
Thank you for welcoming me into your crypt.
Oh.
Ooh. It'd be weird if you're like, his name is Frank, but he goes by Thomas or Tommy. I'm going to start going by weird names. Like, his name's Armando, but he goes by Consuela.
What would my name be?
Hassan
was my Spanish name.
You look like you would be like a 80s wrestling heel.
Okay.
But you wouldn't have like a cool, like long name. You'd be the guy that's just in there to get beat up. So your name would be like Jim Smith or something.
Jim Smith.
On the right, in the left corner, we have Sting. On the right corner, we have Jim.
There you go. So, Tommy, you're one of our founding Patreon members. So, again, we appreciate everyone who has joined up. And you were also on our ill-fated attempt at a movie watch-along with you, me, and Mando. And I think we got a little too tipsy. And we're not really sure if we're going to release that or not, because I didn't realize how hard it would be to watch a movie I've never seen before and try to chat with you guys all the same headphone while under certain influences.
I'm pretty sure that that I'm sorry to everyone who might have wanted to hear that, but that can never be shown to anybody.
I'm fine with that never seeing the light of day. That was more like a drink while a movie was going on in the background of thought.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm pretty sure Tommy and I disclose our net worths. Like, I think Jason gave out his home address.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe my social, But Tommy, why don't you tell us, how you got into Tales from the Crypt, what your favorite episodes are. Tell us your Crypt credentials.
So I was one of those kids that grew up without cable in the early 90s. So I only really knew Tales from the Crypt from the Fox late night replays initially. And then when I was in college, a girl I was dating gave me season 1 on DVD for like a Christmas or birthday present. I don't remember which.
That's a keeper.
Yeah. Let's put that item in a parking lot. Never discuss that again.
Okay.
But it was one of those things where I never really thought about like where the show came from other than late night on like Fox after Mad TV on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
So then like watching the very first episode of I forget it. The one with
the man who was deaf.
The man who was deaf. Yes, the man who was deaf. Like that, just like seeing nudity in it, like blew my mind. I was like, wait, this was a Fox show. But then it was like one of those things where you start, watching the first season, which I watched over and over again. And I'm kind of one of those guys that if I need something, I buy it. So I kind of tend to be hard to shop for birthday and Christmases. So various family members and girlfriends just slowly bought me the rest of the series. So that's how like I collected the whole series on DVD and, got to see all those ones that they couldn't show on Fox for various reasons. And then it was one of those things where I've, watched them here and there. And I was always not always, but always in a sense, but like when the pandemic started, and I was like, all right, one of the things I'm going to do is sit down and rewatch all of it. And I'm kind of a binge and purge type of guy where it's all or nothing. So I kind of put it off to the side because like, well, I'm going to start this and that's the only thing I'm going to watch for the next so many weeks until I'm done with it. Then I'll watch something else. But then you guys started this podcast. So it kind of forces me to pace myself and like, not just make that be the only thing in my life I care about. And then the other nice thing about it too is I always intended to go back and read the comics, and I'm reading the comics as you guys are reviewing the show too. So I've deep dove into all the EC comics and just absolutely fantastic. And the show definitely didn't end because they were scraping the bottom of the barrel, and there were so many good stories that they could still turn into shows if they ever wanted to.
What are your personal favorite episodes?
Only Sin Deep season 1. I really like that one. That's always one though that when I'd put on the DVDs, I would forget that it was Tales from the Crypt. I guess production wise, I always thought it was like to me, it rings more like in my younger mind, I associate it with like the Creep Show movies, and one of the segments in there, For Crying Out Loud is really great. Split Second is really great. Spoiled is really great. Like those are all going to be up there for me.
Nice.
Carry On Death is going to be there too. And then this spoiler alert, but this episode we're going to be talking about tonight, Forever Ambergris, is, phenomenal.
Awesome. All right, well, let's hop into it. Tonight we are talking about Tommy. Sorry, I'm really tired.
Man,
my wife
Jason.
is out of town. Things are going on. Okay, tonight we're talking about season 5, episode 3. Am I right? Episode Forever Ambergris.
Jason is basically like in one of those 90s sitcoms where the wife leaves for like, it was in this, like in The Simpsons, where Marge left for like a week.
Yeah.
And the house is flooded. There's empty pizza boxes everywhere. He somehow has 3 pet raccoons now.
Yeah, the sink is just filled with dishes.
No, see, that's the opposite. I'll do all the dishes, all the cleaning, but the kids will be like not put on clothes for like 3 days.
They're now free range children.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
One of the children's licking the crumbs out of the toaster because they haven't eaten.
No, I bought like too many pizzas. That'll be my problem.
Those are called toaster leave-ins if you've ever watched Married with Children.
and first of all, I don't ever want to hear the term too many pizzas. Because how many pizzas is too many? Because usually I want to hear not enough pizzas. Jason, you should order more pizza.
All right, doing that now. Okay, since Jody's not here, I realize you don't have one to do plot synopsis.
Yeah, we didn't even think about that, did we? Damn it, Jody. All right. I watched the episode like an hour ago. Wait, Tommy, you have notes. What do you think? You think you can synopsize this?
I was actually going to do the comics, so if you want.
Okay. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do anything, but I will.
All right, I found one I can just read off the cuff.
All right, so this is Airplane, and pretty much no one's in the airplane.
No, there's a guy reading Playboy.
No, there's nobody in the airplane. Could you really see people through all that camouflage?
They were camouflaged. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically this episode stars John Cena because you can't see him, and there's a bunch of guys in a plane. They're obviously exiting wartime, and there's 2 photographers, Dalton and the other guy's name, who Jody knows or Jason knows.
Isaac Forte.
Ike
Forte.
Ike and Dalton, and man, like I'm just gonna say right now, we're going off the rails. So what was the bad guy's name? Was that Dalton or was that Ike? Because I'm completely tired.
That guy was Dalton.
Dalton is Roger Daltrey.
Right, Roger Daltrey. So anyhow, they're talking. They're sharing war photos with each other because they're obviously wartime photographers. And Ike is like just starts talking about his old lady, and very affectionately too. He's just talking about how, man, I can't wait to see her, and just the way she scrunches her nose, you would love to see her. She can make you melt. So kind of cool. So then he says, hey, why don't you come have dinner with us? And he's like, nah, man, I'm gonna go to San Diego Beach and bang a bunch of women. And he's like, nah, man, you should really just come have dinner with us. So fast forward, and he comes over for dinner, and they have some wine, and Dalton is immediately smitten with Ike's wife, who's quite the looker. And so they say goodnight to him, and for some inexplicable reason, they decide to leave the door ajar while they fuck, which is really kind of weird when you have people in the house like 40 feet away.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, like just Close the door, man. It's not that hard to do. Close the door, turn some music on. They also had an uncomfortable amount of candles lit. That is just a fire hazard.
That was making me nervous.
That's so like as the single guy on here, I like you guys, but like if you ever invite me over for dinner and it's just you and your significant other and 200 candles, I'm gonna find a reason to leave.
But what if it's just me and Jason and 200 candles?
Oh, we'll make it 201. To get in the mood to review this episode, I currently have every candle in my house lit.
What is it? How many is that? 2?
Oh, just one. It's multicolor because I molded all the candles into one candle, so I could just light one because I'm lazy.
The list the viewers can't see, but I have the desk lamp in my hotel room lit. But anyhow, I digress. They have dinner and then they have their voracious lovemaking session, and afterwards, Ike's wife comes out and he's talking to Dalton, and they share a joint, and she's like, "It helps me sleep." And back then, that was scandal.
After a hard fuck.
After a hard fuck.
It makes her relax after a hard fuck, is what she says.
And that's her exact words. So Dalton Super comes on to her, and she's being flirtatious, but she never crosses that line. And she's like, "You keep my Ike safe. Nothing can happen to Ike because I would just die. I love Ike." Fast forward, and Ike and Dalton are back in the shit. And some I guess we call them, I don't know if they're Marines or Army, some military person's gonna get mad at me.
Hold on 1 second. So you missed the part where they met with the
who's doing this? Who's doing this fucking synopsis? Me or you, Jason?
This is important.
Okay.
Yeah. Dalton meets with his editor who tells him he's losing his edge. Dalton's like the old pro, and Ike's the up and coming guy. So Dalton's getting upset and jealous, thinking like he's got nothing left.
And to be fair, Ike is smitten with Dalton. Ike looks at his stuff and really reveres his stuff and respects him. Mm-hmm. So it turns out the Army guys or military guys tell Dalton, "Hey, there's this place."
Mercenaries.
Oh, they're mercenaries.
Mercenaries in Central America.
Mercenaries of Central America. At least somebody did the research on the show.
There's a comment about that's said by Dalton. He says, it's along the lines of, so is this a good government fighting bad revolutionaries, or a or a bad government fighting the good revolutionaries? Something along those lines, where it's just like they're just guns for hire and they don't give a shit, and he's there to take gruesome photos.
Yeah, so they tell him about a place where a bunch of people died and their bodies are like decomposing and looks nasty. He said he'd never seen anything like it. It's horrific. The
flight over there, they're in like a military cargo plane, and there's this magical guy in a leather biker jacket for no reason at all.
Hey man, that was a cool jacket, like no reason at all, my ass.
He's like very out of place, and he gave this info dump about the location.
He was like
of some fucked up war crimes.
He was like a weird Fonzie standing at the jukebox, just spouting war stories. And he tells about a mystical place. And basically, long story short, Dalton's like, "I need to go." He immediately starts gears start turning.
So this guy is Fonzie after he goes to the war. He gets drafted.
Oh man, that's deep. It's Fonzie. It's Fonzie and Barry after the last season. But he goes in there and he tells Ike about this place. It tells Dalton about this place. So Dalton's like, "Man, I don't know if I can do it." So Ike goes, "Let me go do it. I'll take photos. We'll both take credit for it." And Dalton immediately sees his excuse to get Ike to go off and die so he can come back and take his wife, whose name I cannot remember. So someone can look that up. Bobby. And so anyhow, Dalton's playing the guy, like, "Oh man, I can't put you at that risk. I don't know." And finally, he begrudgingly, after giving him shit like, "You just want to steal my story," he lets Ike go and do it. And Ike gets some great pictures and comes back. But then that night they're in a cot together, and Ike starts screaming in pain. He's not feeling good, and you just see him like he just looks fucked up. Like, great effects here. I absolutely love this. Mm-hmm. And he starts falling apart, and you see like this stuff going through this shit going through his veins. Not literal shit, whatever the hell he was inflicted with. And basically Dalton's laughing at him like, "Oh, you're going to die, buddy. He's already thinking like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to pork your wife, buddy." So anyhow, he goes out and he tells all the mercenaries, "Oh man, you'll never believe what happened to Ike. He's dead." And it got him. And suddenly Ike emerges and looking like a straight out of a Lucio Fulci film. and all decrepit. So while he's like, help, the fucking Dalton just grabs one of these guys' machine guns and guns him down. And they all actually agree it was the right thing to do. So he kills Ike. And realistically, in that situation, I'm not going to say you should have gunned him down, but like if I'm ever in that situation, guys, please someone kill me. Like, don't let me just, if I'm falling apart, if I'm looking like Craig T. Nelson and Poltergeist and my body's falling apart, for the love of God, like just take me out. Don't let me suffer like that. So they kill him, and they all agree it's probably the right thing to do. Fast forward.
I think it was just that Dalton was a little eager.
Yeah, he like didn't even think about it. He goes, give me that machine gun. And also, who just lets someone snatch a machine gun out of their hands? That's kind of awkward, right? I'd be a little bit uncomfortable.
Guy. Like if you're like a good mercenary soldier, you're not going to allow random camera guy to take your gun.
Yeah, and just stands there. Well, I wonder he's going to do. Let's wait and see. So fast forward, and you see Dalton back with Bobby, basically consoling her in her husband's death, and she's pretty distraught over it. So she offers them. She kind of seduces him a little bit. And I'm already thinking, like, man, you talked about how much you. So I forgot how this ended. You're talking about, man, how much you love Ike, and here you are.
Do you want me to take over
this way? Oh, do you have, okay, but what Tommy just said is, dude, you are fucking this up. Like, give me the reins. Tommy, take the reins while I grab a beer.
So, all right. So Bobby's seducing him. The candles, the 200 candles are once again lit. And she's, buying into his story, but she also says that she got a letter written from one of the mercenaries that it basically says, oh yeah, Dalton purposely sent Ike out to get sick and stole his photos and is claiming them as his own. And she's like, oh, I don't believe any of that. So then they go and then they she lights up a joint again, because that's what she does. And then they share the joint, and they go into the bedroom and do stuff that I've never done before, because I'm not a father.
I'm sorry, Tommy.
I'm not a father, and that's how they created a baby.
If we have any tales,
did they create? How do you know they created a baby?
Well, what else would they be doing? That's what you do, right?
First of all, there's a little thing called pulling out.
I'm
just saying, if we have any single lady listeners or Crypt fans, Tommy's available, and he's in desperate need of some education.
We'll go ahead. If you watch the video right now, you'll see where he plastered Tommy's phone number over his his screen.
In mid coitus, she lets Dalton know that those are obviously Ike's photos because she knows his eye. And he also happened to send her some weed from the area that he went to scout that was filled with the plague. And they smoked it together, and she's, as they're humping, she starts to get the same sickness that Ike got. And Dalton then runs into the bathroom and sees his nose completely fall off into the sink.
I bet he finished first.
I
there were lots of fluids being exchanged. Like she's like bleeding out onto him.
As she was falling apart, he's still thinking, like, I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to do something about this in about 25 seconds.
We've all done worse.
Have we? Well, hold on a second. Have we? I definitely did not finish in someone who was dying in front of me.
The royal the editorial.
I'm gonna go ahead and leave myself out of this we.
It's just gonna be Big Lebowski quotes from here on out.
In 6 weeks, we're to find out like Tommy has a basement full of like dead bodies, and we're like, oh yeah, it fucking makes sense. Damn it.
Way to spoil Barbarian.
Hey, dude, as long as you're
no, please don't. I need to see it.
Okay, dude, we have to. Damn it! Oh my God.
Then we go back. Then we go back to the Crypt Keeper. Let's get back on page, and he's doing a sexy photo shoot with a skeleton and a bikini, and he's telling her to keep moving her head back more and more until it falls off, and then he says, perfect. End of episode.
The wraparound was amazing as
Yeah,
always.
as always.
Like God, I always think that I could write those cryptic wraparounds, and then when we had to do like something like basic, I couldn't write a single pun to save my life. So like, they're so fucking clever.
This wraparound, unlike others of the season, actually fit with the story. Like the fisheye lens joke at the beginning was pretty good.
Yeah, I like it when they're really on point with the episode.
Yeah, and that was this one.
All right, Mando, start us off. What'd you think of this episode?
I love this episode. I'm so happy. I didn't think I was going to make it for this episode because on Sunday I was watching some pro wrestling, some New Japan pro wrestling. And then today I'm in California with, I'm going to pause for a second because I'm about to burp. I'm not going to do that into this microphone. I totally forgot to mute. And I pressed the mute button. It didn't work. So we all know I'm too lazy to edit this shit out. But I was really happy I got to see this episode because it was a fantastic episode. I didn't remember it at all based on the name. And just when I saw the names popping up, I'm like, oh, Roger Daltrey and Steve Buscemi. This has to be good because Steve Buscemi was in a rock band that took over radio stations. So how can anything he's in not be good? And I really love the episode. I really love, like, at first it started off a little bit slow, but I really love the way they built the tension. I love how they made his wife was very, I don't want to, she's a little bit flirtatious towards Dalton, but she's also very staunch. Like, no, I love Ike. I'm married to Ike, and this isn't happening. Like, I'm just having a conversation here. And then at the end, I don't like, if I ever, like, one of you guys, or if somebody kills me in a weird manner, like she didn't have to have sex with him at the end. He just smoked the joint, right? Like she didn't have to do that. But also, how like of a mind fuck is that? They'd be like, oh, hey, we're fucking, I'm just gonna tell you halfway through that you're about to die, so you do what you want with that information. And we saw what Dalton did with that information. But he fell to pieces. He fell to pieces. He was loved to death. And at the very end, Dalton got his. Like, it's a bummer to see what happened with Steve Buscemi, but it's also kind of a maybe something with. I think if you were to tell Ike, like, hey, if you go here, you're gonna get the best shots of your life, but you're not gonna come out of this alive, he probably still would have done it.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely tell. One thing I do like how they show how much you see how Dalton, photography to him is a job and something he does, whereas Ike was very, very passionate. They show his passion behind it. And sometimes, man, like, passion and obsession can lead you to death. But yeah, I love this episode, and I think it was
Dalton,
one of the.
Or Dalton used to be passionate, and he kind of lost the passion.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to put it, because just the way Ike's, I don't say fawning over him, but talking about how much he respects his work. And there is a little scene towards the end where Ike goes, it kind of almost insults his photography a little bit when he's talking about, like, he kind of says something about, I know I can get good shots. I mean, we can get good shots, or something to that effect. I don't remember the exact verbiage. I'm sure Tommy has it written down.
He has the script in front of him.
Yeah, phenomenal episode though, and I really think that, again, it's not like a broken record, but man, when we were hearing about how great season 3 was and how it just fell off a cliff, like, dude, we're going strong, man. I'm really enjoying this. So, bravo to the Crypt Masters.
I don't think it. Well, it doesn't fall off. It doesn't fall off a cliff at all. It just gets less good at season 7. And like, Al Katz has kind of, talked about the difficulties filming in England. But like, I mean, if you look at like the IMDb ratings, like, alone without anything else, like, you get still a lot of like 7+s in those other seasons. It drops off a bit in the final season.
Yeah, I don't like IMDb ratings. I think it's a very weighted system.
I don't disagree, but like, there's nothing that's like a 3.
Well, it's actually surprising when you see, because a lot of horror movies, I mean, even like the ones that we love, some of them will be a 3 or a 4 on IMDb. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually kind of cool to see a horror property with such high ratings. So like, just broadly looking ahead, like, the worst things that you guys might potentially review are going to be Vault of Horror, the 73 follow-up to Tales from the Crypt, and Ritual. Like, those are going to be worse than season 7. Like, it doesn't cliff dive. I think Ritual is worse than most things out there. So
All right.
Yeah, and season 7 is going to ride higher than that, and
I'd ra-
Vault of Horror is going to be like it'll be a fun debate. What's worse, Ritual or Vault of? If you decide, I'm not telling you what to do.
No, if Jason makes us watch Ritual, I'm gonna go find some decaying mummy and fuck it, and then see if I can get some disease and die like Dalton did. Don't judge, Jason.
All right, Tommy, what did you think of this episode?
Oh, it's fucking fantastic. This is just like a Todd Masters playground.
Mhm.
Like they definitely just like he gotta like turn it to 11, and it's. I mean,
You totally missed the opportunity to say a Todd Masters masterpiece.
Paul the masterpiece.
A Todd Masters piece.
Todd Masters baited all over the special effects.
Oh.
So,
Well, let's wrap this episode up.
Yeah.
You leave us a rating review on Spotify and on Napster. And
so like I said, this episode was the one that stepped over the line. So
Yeah, so
I'm
tell
stepping
me
over the
about what
line.
you meant. Tell me what you meant by that.
over the line.
Yes. So let me pull the quote. So
Am I the only one here who cares about the rules?
yes.
Yes.
And
breaks them.
So the
There fucking
whole
rules?
scene with Steve Buscemi character, he has the disease jungle rot. The script is very gory, calls for his face bloating and ooze to be flowing out of the eyeball to swell up and slide down his cheek like a slug. Usually they would do that with a fake head. However, Todd Masters decided to do it with prosthetics right on Buscemi's face because
It's awesome.
I don't know if that was for budgeting reasons, time reasons, or he just wanted to show how fucking amazing he was at special effects, but that's how he did it. The entire crew sat there with the whole time with their jaws agape. Weird pause as they watched. The next day after they filmed it, Gil Adler called Masters into his office. With a cocky, rather triumphant grin on his face, he proclaimed, "I just got a call from Dick Donner. He says we crossed the line." That was the first time I realized there was actually a line on Tales from the Crypt, declares Masters. Other than that one instance, we never really had anybody telling us what we could or could not do. So this is the episode with the special effect that got called up from Richard Donner.
And what great effects they were. God, they were good.
But you have that. Like Roger Daltrey, just like you don't think of him as an actor, like he's the singer for the Who, but they wrote it really well for him to chew up scenery.
Yeah.
And just to they wrote the character for him. Steve Buscemi was relatively unknown at this time. Like this was before Airheads. This was before Big Lebowski. Like he had done Tales from the Dark Side since then. He had done Miller's Crossing and a few other of those Coen brother lesser known films that became cult classics. Barton Fink. But to get someone like that early in their career and get them to play along with Roger Daltrey chewing up scenery was just fun. It was a slow burn. But it was also, I know we're not doing the comic comparison yet, but I really like how they took the theme of the comic but changed the storyline, but still kept the basic theme there and the story behind it, but made it its own thing and contemporary of the time. Just fucking fantastic episode.
I think the only thing what Buscemi had really done that was really notable at this point. Well, he'd done a lot of stuff, let's be honest. He'd been acting for forever. But I think this is probably right after Reservoir Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but wasn't a breakup for him per se.
Yeah,
because there's so many great actors in there.
And one thing I do really love about Steve Buscemi is that he never really had that until it was a long time before he always had these just little bit roles as he's kind of one of those guys who was a super well-known character actor because he always played these characters and everybody kind of knew who he was, and then it took a while for people to but it took a while for everyone to realize holy shit, this guy's just an amazing actor and a former firefighter, newer firefighter.
And even Reservoir Dogs really didn't pick up steam until after Pulp Fiction hit. So he was in it before, but it wasn't it elevated him. So he was still, just a good casting call to recognize the talent.
And when you're a recurring character, when you're a recurring actor in Tarantino movies and Coen movies, Coen Brothers movies, and that kind of stuff, like you have your chops because they don't hire bums.
Yeah, and there's people that are one or the other, and there's few and far between that are recurring in both.
Did you know Steve Buscemi's in Pulp Fiction? Do you know what role he is?
Yeah, he's the drug dealer.
No,
that's not.
He's a waiter dressed up as.
Jason's very disappointed that we don't know this. He expects us to be like, oh yeah, it's that guy. But I'm
when they go to that theme restaurant, he's dressed up as Buddy Holly. He takes their order.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, yeah, it's been unfortunately too long.
It's a great walk-on role.
And I also love his work in all the Adam Sandler films.
Yeah, he always just shows up and does something fun.
He's always shows up in some wacky role and just knocks it out of the park. So,
but then he does he has that great role in Con Air, and he has this really extended role in The Sopranos, and he actually directed many of those episodes.
Boardwalk Empire.
Boardwalk Empire. I was building up to that. Yeah,
phenomenal in that show. So good in that show.
Boss.
I mean, to me, I think the episode that made him the most infamous or the show is Fargo, because they kind of he's the kind of funny looking guy. And you're like, fuck, that's That's
Steve Buscemi right there. He's kind of funny looking, but he's cool.
In Con Air, a movie that kind of goes over the top in every way possible, he plays that role so creepy. So he's so good, but so subdued as well. Where like that movie just begged for everyone to go over the top, and because he was the guy that played his role so subdued, I think that's why him and Malkovich stand out. Malkovich is kind of wacky in that, but there's a whole lot of stories behind Con Air and Malkovich not knowing even what his lines were, not even having a script days before shooting. But I think he's I'm a Buscemi fan. I'll put it that way. I love Steve Buscemi.
And also again, talk about him being a firefighter, and there's stories about on 9/11 he showed up at his old fire station to go in and volunteer. Come on.
Well, and that's a story that didn't break till years and years later, because he didn't go around talking about it. As pictures started popping up of him, helping out, and it's holy shit, that's Steve Buscemi. And because it's very easy you see it nowadays, right? With TikTok stars or influencers who go out and say, oh, let me hold the hammer for a second, I take a photo. No, he was out there with no fanfare, just trying to help any way he could, man. So bravo to you, Steve Buscemi, and god damn it, were you good in this episode.
Also, Donnie was a good man.
Donnie was a good man.
Was a good man.
Yeah. I forgot his full name, man. I'm a little buzzed. Donald Theodore
or something.
Donald is Donald Theodore something. But do you know the whole story behind the Coen brothers, why in that movie John Goodman tells him to shut the fuck up all the time?
Well, because in another movie his character talked too much.
It was a joke based off Fargo, and Fargo he never shut the fuck up, so that was kind of the joke. But
we're men of a certain age, so Coen brothers movies just hit different with us.
It's still in Big Lebowski, one of the most subdued funny lines in there. And he goes, they want to, and I goes something like, I don't want them to cut I need my Johnson. And he goes, what do you need that for, dude?
I'm the walrus.
Yeah. All right.
Your phone's ringing, dude. Thank you, Donnie. Best movie ever.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna hop in on this. So this episode was directed by Gary Fleder, who also did the episode Seance from I think it was last season. He also did Kiss the Girls, Runaway Jury, which is a very underrated I think it's a John Grisham adaptation.
Yes. It's a John Grisham.
I love a good John Grisham adaptation. I'm just a sucker for that.
It'd be better for the Gil Grisham adaptation, but that's a whole other story.
He's a producer on the Beauty and the Beast TV show, and Art of More is what he's doing recently. I think it's great directed episode. Roger Daltrey does a great performance. Again, I wasn't expecting much. I like the Who just fine, but never really seen his work. So he started in Tommy. He was also in the Highlander TV series for a little while. So he's definitely done some work. We talked plenty about Steve Buscemi. The editor for the paper that they're working for is played by Paul Dooley, who was on Popeye. He was also in Strange Brew, 16 Candles, Curb Your Enthusiasm. He did a voice on Cars 2. The guy with the cool leather jacket they run into is played by Marshall Bell, who just always kind of shows up in some great roles. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street 2 as the Coach Schneider.
Coach Snyder and the S&M Club.
Yeah, he was in Twins. He was in Tales of the Crypt and All Through the House. So he was the husband who got murdered at the beginning.
Real quick, this is very important before I forget. Are any of you guys watching the TV show Little Demon on FX?
No.
It's a cartoon. So Danny DeVito plays Satan, and there's a scene where they go to hell. I'm not going to spoil anything, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is doing the voice of the MC, and the MC is Danny DeVito from Twins, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is doing the voice. It's pretty awesome.
He was also in Starship Troopers, and then he also obviously his best role was in Total Recall as the guy with the little guy coming out of his chest.
Oh no,
that's awesome.
How many of you guys were just stoked to see 3 titties in your kids?
Oh yeah. Well, it's so funny because when I first saw that movie, it was on TV, so they cut out that shot, but like they still like show her like from behind opening her blouse or whatever. So I didn't know you actually got to see it until then. I was like, oh.
Were any of you guys walking around like just waiting to see a woman walk around with 3 breasts? Like, holy shit, that must be a real thing. Just me? Am I the only person whose parents let them watch out when they're 9?
No.
The unrated version.
But Bobby is played by Lysette Anthony, who was in Kroll. She was in one of the adaptations of Dark Shadows. Look Who's Talking Now, Dracula, Dead and Loving It.
Yes.
And more recently in Strippers versus Werewolves.
That's not a good movie. That's a fun movie, actually.
Sounds like a knockoff of a not good movie starring Jenna Jameson called Zombie Strippers.
Zombie Strippers.
Wait,
not a porno, but not.
I could be getting stuff mixed up. We'll see.
But yeah, overall,
that really fucked up. That really fucked Jenna Jameson's acting career.
That's the pull quote right there. Yeah, overall this is a great episode. You kind of knew a little bit where it was going, but the payoff is just like, whoa. Yeah, they definitely went there. They definitely pushed the envelope more than they have ever before on the show, with the gore factor. I'm still a little fuzzy on what the sickness is. So obviously I'm assuming Ike isn't touching bodies. He's walking
Jungle
through.
Rot. It's jungle rot, according to some of my research.
But
hold on, is that like airborne?
Jungle rot's a real thing that like it's like a sickness that I don't know. I don't want to say it's probably one of those things where they call it jungle rot, but it's probably
like 3 different
a mutation of a real sickness. But they definitely had some creative licensing with this, obviously, and it was obviously like a supernatural kind of disease or something.
Well, here's my question. So I'm assuming Ike isn't like touching bodies and stuff. I'm assuming he's like has some sort of discretion.
I want the unrated version where he's on all licking the faces of dead bodies.
Well, okay. My point being that Ike and Dalton slept in the same tent together, so they're obviously like breathing each other's, germs. But Dalton doesn't seem to get it. So I thought that Dalton was going to get it from just being in the tent with.
They do bring up that all these people died without a single bullet being fired or something like that. So they make it, they do kind of allude to the fact that it's because of where they were that they caught this. Not that it's like if you're standing right outside the circle, you're cool, but you cross a certain line and now you're in this area where you can get this disease. They kind of alluded to it not be.
There's also potential that it could be like that one shitty M. Night Shyamalan film where it's from the plants that he got it from.
And because she smoked the plant and then he smoked the plant.
Well, he sent the plant back with him. So it could have been the plants in that
area.
That's
right.
And he got it from the plants themselves. And it's not necessarily something that travels from person to person, but plant to person.
Yeah.
I
was a little confused on the nature of whatever that was. But I mean, that's a nitpick on the great episode.
I'm always super glad when someone's paying attention, taking notes.
So yeah, I think what we're seeing in a lot of these later season episodes is kind of like remixing older episodes, and they usually turn out better. So this reminded me a little bit of like Three's a Crowd, where you have kind of a 3 love triangle situation, and the Dead Weight episode, which is kind of the voodoo one with James Remar, Whoopi Goldberg, where what's his name, Saleh from Indiana Jones, I'm blanking his name.
Don't look at me. I don't know if you're looking at me. I don't know.
Anyways, he gets like bloodworms or something like that, where like he has to like cut through his chest. It's directed by Toby Hooper, which is again another like major gory episode. So this reminded me a little bit of that episode too, but I think it's better than both of those episodes.
Well, I mean, as far as like the infidelity aspect, like that's a huge factor in a lot of the EC comics. Like
Yeah.
that's especially like the shock suspense stories and the crime suspense stories. Like it's like marriage was just different back then because like divorce wasn't really a thing because like women couldn't get jobs to support themselves, so they had to stay with their like drunken, abusing husbands.
Yeah. I like the scope of this episode. The fact it's like jumping continents, and yeah, it's obviously relatively backlot kind of stuff. And we never see anything like wide shots, but at least like it wasn't just like one town, one setting kind of thing, or one house. It definitely had some scope to it, which is nice.
You make a cool point because like I thought the same thing. Like it has a big scope to it, and I would never think that it was shot in a small backlot. But you're right. There's only a few different set pieces, but they make you feel like it's a more expansive world. So that's really cool.
Well, they also, I mean, for a Tales from the Crypt episode, have a lot of just side actors as far as like the mercenary guys, like because usually it's like 3 people and only 3 people, and have all these people that just have bit minor roles, be those guys or like the editor and stuff like that. It's a relatively like big cast for Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, like you can tell they got some money to put into this episode. So yeah, overall I liked it. I appreciated that they're able to put the effort into that, and then the effects are just mind-boggling. Some of the highest gore stuff you can see, especially on that TV show.
So a little bit more about cast and crew in that. So yeah, you said Gary Felder was the director. Surprisingly, like if you want to feel inadequate, he was 27 years old when he directed this.
Jesus.
The writer was Scott Rosenberg. Those two were actually college classmates at Boston University. Other things that he wrote: Con Air, High Fidelity, Gone in 60 Seconds, the 2 Jumanji movies with The Rock in it, and then Venom. So, a guy who's definitely been around Hollywood.
Cool. Ugh. Sorry. All right, Tommy, why don't you do the comic comparison?
Use your words,
All right.
Jason.
I know.
When you're tired, we're gonna get you. Seen the dogs that have like little soundboards? We're gonna get you one of those when you're tired. You just press like, we're rating now. Rating now, Jody.
You just need to replace it with an AI.
So I did not come prepared to do a comic comparison. So bear with me if it's a bit funky. So Forever
can't be worse than my synopsis. So let's go.
So Forever Ambergris is Tales from the Crypt 44. It is illustrated by Jack Davis. He is kind of a bigger illustrator in the Tales from the Crypt or DC comic world. He actually, Chuck, did all of the covers for Tales from the Crypt through issue 29 through 46, 46 being the last issue. He did the infamous Foul Play episode or story that was in Hot and Fear of 19. That's a story about a very gruesome baseball game, and that is the one that was made infamous by the psychiatrist Frederick Wortham, who wrote the bullshit book Seduction of Innocent in 1954. That's kind of the book that went against Tales from the Crypt, the EC comics in general, the horror comics, with a bunch of pseudoscience that didn't make sense. It was kind of a same flavor of the Satanic Panic, but before the issue. So it's kind of a book that you would expect to be on the shelf of Glenn Jacobson, the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee.
Glenn Jacobs, you almost nailed it, but he is full of shit. And fuck you, Kane. You want to fight? You know where I'm at. You don't really know where I'm at, but I'll give you my address and we can have a grappling match. We can have a grappling match for charity.
So Jack Davis was really known for being able to draw people's expressions really well. He was given the yokel stories or small town stories, stories with kids either robbing graves or carrying coffins down the street, and that's how Al Fieldstein described his role within DC Comics itself. He also, because he was so good at facial expressions, he also wrote a lot with Mad Magazine and did a lot of their illustration there. The writer was Carl Wessel. He was a guy that was just kind of brought in the last year that horror comics were being done at EC. So wasn't most well known. This was the third to last ever issue of Tales from the Crypt. So the story itself is told by a sea captain, Matt Starks, and he is telling it kind of on the couch as his wife is, or a significant other is getting ready, and he tells about how he's a sea captain. His first mate is Ben Harper, and they're out at sea. And Ben keeps telling the captain about how beautiful his wife Elaine is, and he doesn't believe her. They get back to shore in San Diego, and they invite Matt. Ben invites Matt over for dinner, and Eileen the whole time is eyeing him, and Ben leaves to get him drinks. Matt kisses Eileen and says, "Oh, I just wanted to kiss the wife," as Ben walks back in. They leave again, and he's like, "What are you doing with this guy? You don't like him at all." And she's just like, "Yeah, but he's financially secure." And he's like, "Oh, baby, I can treat you way better." So they go out at sea again, and Captain Starks decides that he's going to kill Ben Harper. So they go to Japan, and Captain Starks kind of leaves and basically goes into a dark alley and meets a guy that I would assume you would buy Magwai from in an alley in Japan. and he pays him like one whole crisp American dollar to tell him about this island.
Oh shit! It was basically like the bet in trading places.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
Motherfuckers.
Yes. I
First of all, can we stop for a second and appreciate Mondo's Misfits haircut?
Dude, I am tired. This is
100% trying to stay on board without giving a Misfits reference here.
I'm tired and my hair is way too long. Like my barber was busy giving UFC fighter haircuts. So I have to wait till next week.
Fucking same. I look like a goddamn hippie here.
Man, I'm sure it's funny. Like, I don't know why Jason never hired me to be his podcast, because he's obviously got a thing for bald dudes. Like everybody else are bald.
Balance, man. You need balance. All right,
so
Tommy, sorry, go ahead.
Back to the story. They leave Japan. Ben's excited because he's going to see Eileen, and Captain Stark is like, "Oh, I've got to do one more stop for a friend." So he's like, "Okay." So he's like, "Okay, well, they need some heating oil." So he stops off this island, and he convinces Ben to row the dinghy to this island that the Magwai salesman told him about.
I imagine like now salesman going door to door being like, "May I interest you in this small living being that you can keep in a cage?"
I want the Magwai salesman versus the Hellraiser guy. That gives people the Hellraiser cube.
Oh, and real fast, by the way, Glenn Jacobs, if you do ever want to have a grappling match, I figure the betting stakes will be the other person has to, if they lose, has to somebody the other person loves or is passionate about. So if I beat you, Glenn Jacobs, I'm going to need you to donate $10,000 to an abortion clinic to help people or to Planned Parenthood. And if you win, Glenn Jacobs, I don't know what Glenn Jacobs likes. Oh, I know. I'll run around and shout disparaging things towards minorities.
So
fuck you, Kane.
Yes. So back to our comic book.
I'm really mad at that guy, man. I was a big fan of Kane for so long. And you know what he did? This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass.
Yes. Sometimes you just need to learn to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, sometimes you also need to learn not to be a motherfucking piece of shit, Kane.
Yeah. So anyway, it turns out that this island that he paid the crisp $1 bill to the Magwai.
Real fast. Imagine if he pronounced his name Kanye at the beginning instead of Kane, like, and Vincent Mann be like, "It's got to be Kanye. Kanye West never. Then he'd be Kane West. And fuck everything up.
All right, back on board once again. So it turns out that this island that Ben Harbor was sent to.
Jason has to love that Tommy's a person. Like, let's bring it back, guys. Go. I say guys, I mean me.
Yeah.
So
Mando, this aggression will not stand.
Yes. So this island is just a kind of a
Need that
quarantine
cup.
island for
Go get
people with the bubonic plague. So he purposely infected Ben Harper with the bubonic plague. He came back on the ship. He told everyone to avoid him because Ben was in quarantine. This is not like America in COVID times, so people actually did quarantine and like stay away from him. But Captain Starks realizes that his crew keeps sending garbage overboard. He's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, and the crew's like, "Well, there's a sperm whale following us, and so we're feeding it." So they keep feeding it. The whale keeps coming and following them, and then Ben Harper eventually comes from his cabin looking like a gristled zombie, and Captain Starks like gets the crew to try to kind of hook him and get him from going after him.
Hook 'em
He
horns.
splits in half and falls in the ocean. Later, they're sailing, and the sperm whale spits up. Yes, spits up ambergris, which is so the title Forever Ambergris. Ambergris is the name of the whale vomit they used to make into perfume.
And guess what? That's our trivia of the day as well.
Yeah. So there we go. So the
I had the
ambergris
Wikipedia page queued up.
is very expensive. So the captain sends the crew down to scoop it up. He comes back into port. He gets into trouble. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna pull your captaining license because you let a guy die with bubonic plague." And he's like, "I don't give a shit. I got ambergris money." So he sells all the ambergris to make perfume. And we cut back to the modern time of him on the couch. And he then realizes that Eileen, the wife of Ben Harper that he stole from her, getting her killed, is putting on that perfume. And she comes out fully bubonic plagued with her bones sticking out and all.
Wow, that's cool.
So
I think you heard like 30% of it, Mondo.
what you're saying
I heard
is
the end.
Captain Stark treats objects like women, man.
But it's got the same theme of the senior security guy killing his protege to get to the wife.
Mono, tell me you're wearing pants.
I mean, I'm enhancing the chances of conception.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Tommy, what do you rate this episode? Scale of 1 to 5. You can do half points.
4.5.
4.5. Take it. Mondo.
There's a man by the name of the Doctor of Thugonomics, John Cena. And much like you couldn't see the man at the front of the show, you can't see him because he's given everything a 5. And we give this a 5. We give this a 5. I loved this damn episode.
Yeah, I'm going 4.5. Really, really, really good.
Do you even like Tales from the Crypt?
No, he doesn't.
I just want an excuse to hang out with you guys.
To my defense, he gave it a 2. He gave it a 2.
What? Oh, that one episode?
No, Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, the movie?
Yeah, he gave it a 2.
Yeah, I mean it's in the again like
I was
Yeah, we're not
justified.
rehashing that.
oh no, I actually loved Al shitting on it because I got it. Like he shit on it, but I'm like, oh yeah, but you make all the sense in the world. Like now I want to hate this now I want to hate this, but I couldn't.
Well, it
But
was
of
so
course-
great because he was trying to be nice. We'll point out what was wrong, and then you get to ratings. He's like 1, fuck it, 1.
I absolutely love Al. Absolutely love Al.
Speaking of Al, he might have something to say about this episode, and if he does, we'll kick it to him now.
If not, this is staying in because I'm not going to find this later.
All right. All right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
All right, so I was actually really bummed that Tommy used the term because the minute I watched this episode, I could only think of one band. And this band started out in the early 90s, and we're kind of one of the innovators of what you would call slam death metal. Their first record, Skin the Living, came out on Pure Death Records, which, as some people may know, it was actually a label ran by Jamie Jasta of Hatebreed. Hatebreed fucking sucks ass, but Jamie Jasta had a cool record label called Pure Death Records. The album is called Skin the Living. The song is called Rotten Bodies. The name of the band is Jungle Rot.
Ooh.
So that's all I was bummed when Tommy mentioned Jungle Rot. I was like, damn it, I was going to tie in this song of the day and trivia all at once. But they're really good early slam. When I say slam death metal, it's like a lot of chugga riffs that you'll hear all these smarmy motherfuckers like, yeah, it's just primitive death metal. Yeah, man, give me those knuckle dragging fucking caveman riffs because that's the shit I want to hear. I want to hear guitars go. Brr. I don't need your technical guitar winkery. So yeah, song of the day, Rotten Bodies, off the album Skin the Living by the band motherfucking Jungle Rot.
All right, thank you.
Kept that quick today. American death metal too, man. Early American death metal kind of pioneered the genre. If you guys want to hear more, I got nothing. That's all I got for tonight. They don't have that interesting of a story, but they're just a cool band.
No, I like it. All right, for trivia, I brought up the Wikipedia page for Ambergris. We've talked about most of the things in it, but I did want to say it does list some countries where it is legal and illegal to have it. It is legal in the United Kingdom, France, Switzerland, and the Maldives. It is illegal in Australia, United States, and India.
Oh, and I know down here it's used for perfume. I think Tommy might have already said that. Perfume and cologne.
That was the whole plot of the fucking comic, if you were listening, Don.
Yeah.
You're
Dude,
like a child who wanders into the movie theater halfway through the movie.
Man, I don't even know if Tommy actually likes me. Tommy.
Do you actually like us, Tommy?
Like I like you until you invite me to your house with only you and your wife and 200 candles. We've discussed this. So I do have
I just want Tommy to watch the dogs. They wouldn't try to interfere. So you know how weird it is to try to fuck like while your dog's like scratching the door. Like you feel bad. It's like little kids standing outside there. I'd rather my child walking on me than my dog.
So I do have more trivia that's specific to the episode. So
Tommy's like, your trivia is not adequate. Let me step in.
Jesus, Tommy.
No, it's so the episode is actually a play on a 1947 drama called Forever Amber. And when this came out on VHS, they actually edited out the goopy eye scene. But it was fully restored when they put it back out on DVD.
Oh, it's just I love how they did the beginning with the fisheye camera lens, because it's kind of foreshadowing the eye scene too, which is kind of cool.
Nice. All right. Moving on to dad advice, which we are totally prepared to do. And I'm sure we have a great topic to talk about.
Oh, hey, I'm going to introduce a new segment here that we're not going to do every week. We're just going to do right now because it's going to be called, and we'll see it if people like this, it's going to be called As Seen on Reddit. And I'm going to read the funniest Reddit comment that I read all week.
Okay.
Are you ready? You guys ready for this? It's gonna be good. All right. Steven Seagal is 1/4 Cherokee. Did you guys know that? Not because he is Native American, but because he weighs as much as 1/4 of a Cherokee, of a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Fuck him and his Aikido bullshit.
I used to own the Cherokee. I love that. Like a 96.
Yeah, so that's at least like 1,000 pounds, right? It's a 4,000 pound car.
Yeah.
All right.
That was a good car. I missed that car.
That was worst father advice yet.
That wasn't father advice. That was just a funny joke. If you didn't appreciate it, you can go on fucking some other podcast, Tommy.
This is
a guest abuse.
I'm gonna start. Whenever I get upset, I'm just gonna start calling you Thomas. Like, you know what, Thomas?
This is the first podcast I've been on, so thank you. Thank you for popping my podcast cherry, daddies.
Well, he's someone popped your cherry.
Oh, can you say that again, but sultrier?
No. You only get
I'm flustered now.
This is like slightly less of a shit show than Chopping Mall.
Yeah.
I do have some dad advice.
Cool.
Not some dad advice, some life advice, some human advice.
Please.
So yesterday, I'm working on a site and things just have kind of gone south and it's rough. And Tommy's actually a guy that travels for work too. And when things go south and you're traveling, it just sucks because they're long days, you're away from home. But so yesterday, after all was said and done, it was like 8:00 at night. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go get a small pizza because I'm hungry. I need to get out of the hotel. So I order a pizza online from a place down here called Your Pie. And do you want to know what kind of pizza I order? I order the best pizza.
Pineapple with jalapenos and ham.
Oh, a pineapple, jalapeno, pepperoni.
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni. Why? Salt and savory, sweet, and spicy. Yeah. So I go and I pick the pizza up. I'm so excited. I get back to the hotel room and they didn't put the fucking jalapeno on it. The jalapeno is very important. And after a long day, been a rough day. Was I upset? Yes. Did I go back and yell at that fucking poor clerk that worked behind that counter? Of course I did. What kind of monster? No, I'm just kidding. So what I want to say is like, yes, like that upset me. I was very like bummed in the moment, but I also realized that human beings all make mistakes and shit happens. Is it worth ruining my night over? No. Is it worth going back in and yelling at someone over? Fuck no. There are a lot of things that are beyond our controls. And Tommy, as a guy that travels like I do, you probably realize sometimes things are just beyond your control. If you make every effort to get to a site and every flight is canceled, what do?
You call the customer and let them know, and they're usually accommodating and understand.
Yeah, you move on with your life, right? Like we get it, bad things happen, people miss flights, people miss vacations, but the person standing behind the counter, the person that messed up, or even the person that messed up, like don't be the guy, don't be the lady that takes it out on them, because whenever you think about, yeah, the person forgot my jalapenos, did it lessen my enjoyment? Was it one of those things where I'm like, fuck, it's been a long day and all I want is my goddamn jalapenos? Yeah, but you want to know what? I made mistakes. I make mistakes all the fucking time. And the people working there made a mistake. And at the end of the day, is it the end of the world? No. And it's not worth being a shitty human being to somebody else because something wrong happened. It's do your best to fix it if it's within your control. If not, you have to live with those circumstances. But I promise you, when the flight gets canceled, the person behind the counter at the airline isn't your enemy. They probably got screamed at 10 times. Don't be the 11th person that screams at them. It's not their fault. It's really not their fault. When something gets made wrong, maybe it is their fault, but guess what? They made a mistake. We're humans. We make mistakes. Be kind. Be kind to your fellow man, and don't let those little things turn you into the fucking Karen. Don't be on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram for being a piece of shit.
Well,
Go ahead.
That and like most of your food service workers are getting underpaid.
Yeah,
100%.
You know, don't send food back. Like, just accept it and eat it. Like it's still, you know.
You have the right to send it back. Just know it's going to take a while.
No. If you send food back and make them make it again, you 100% increase your chances of eating someone else's spit. So just eat it. Just fucking eat it.
Hold on. I'm kind of in between both you guys. So if you go to a steakhouse and pay $100 for a steak and you order it medium rare and it comes out well done, I promise you though, the waiter is going to look at that steak and be like, that shit's not right. I'm going to get you another steak. But if you have to do that, be kind about it.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick about it. Like if you go to Applebee's and order a $12 steak, it's overcooked. You're at fucking Applebee's. You're 6 margaritas deep. Just fucking eat the steak.
Well, okay.
But even though I do think like, man, like I do think it's a double-edged sword here, because also like I'll be honest, like so I hate olives. I won't eat food with olives in it. So if you bring me food and I told you no olives and it comes with olives, well, first of all, if I see olives on the menu on a menu item, I generally just won't order it because I don't want to be that guy if you forget to not put olives on it. But I will be very kind about it. I will be very understanding about it. I will never yell at anybody. I'll never raise my voice. I'll never be condescending because accidents happen, and that's just part of life. But
Yeah.
for the most part, though, like if I order French fries, you bring me mashed potatoes. Guess what? We're eating some fucking mashed potatoes, and I'm not going to complain about it.
As
Well, like-
Tom Swayze, Patrick Swayze, Jesus,
Tom Swayze.
said in
That's
in
like a weird.
Roadhouse.
Hold on a second. That's like a weird alternate universe Rush song.
Yeah,
Tom Swayze.
Tom Swayze.
Well,
As he said in Roadhouse, be nice. But yeah, my wife is a very picky eater about things like that, like olives, all kinds of things, peppers. So she tends to be very specific in her ordering. And yeah, if sometimes we'll send stuff back, but yeah, you have to do it nicely and expect it's not going to happen like within a few minutes. It might take a little while.
but so like, would you, if you get something with olives on it, would you actually send it back? Why not just pick off the fucking olives?
Here's what I'll tell you. Yes, and here's what I'll tell you. It depends on the food. Well, again, first of all, I'm going to go back to say, like, usually if I love everything about a dish, but I see there's olives in it, I generally just won't order it because I don't want to be no olives and then forget and have to deal with it because like that flavor permeates everything. Because
Yeah,
olives are generally in a brine.
Like if it's a
which is olive
salad
flavor.
Yeah, if it's a salad, you can pick it up. If it's on a pizza, it's already like
It's ingrained in the
Yeah.
crate. But why don't you pick the olives off because it's in the cheese already? And I hate the flavor.
That's just being picky. Just eat it.
what. One thing I do want to
That's
say.
not being picky, Tommy. I don't like olives. I hate olives.
Calm down, Karen.
I'll eat fucking everything. I will fucking murder you. Is there a mix? Is there?
Now we're talking a lot about the food.
I love Jay's like, oh God, don't threaten the guests. Don't threaten her Patreons. There's pretty much no food in the world that I would ever complain about except for olives. Like literally, I just really don't like it. I've tried a bunch of different kinds of olives, and I just have not found one that I've liked. And I wish I could because like I don't. It's much like beer. And Tommy, you're a beer guy. What are you drinking tonight, by the way? You have a hazy looking beer there.
I was drinking a beer from Outer Range out of Frisco, Colorado called Forest Floor because our friend Ike, played by Steve Buscemi, ended his life on the forest floor.
I love it. Holy shit. Like tying all in was like, I hope that Tommy's like, I hope someone asks you about the beer because I'm going to bring it up. I actually have a coffee porter by La Quinta Brewing Company. Even though I complained about their IPA earlier, their IPA is delicious. I'm not going to get into that because again, things happen. But there are very few flavors that I'll really like just not go for, and olives is one of them. But like I said, though, 99% of the time. So there's a place here in Indio, California called TKB. The kids bakery, and I've gone there 3 days now because they're so fucking good. They have the whole no,
talk about them.
Not yet. They have an Italian sub, and I love Italian subs, but it has black olives on it. So you want to know what? I just don't order the Italian sub because they're busy as hell. I don't want them to. They're probably making sandwiches so fast they might accidentally put olives on it. I know I'm not gonna enjoy it, so I just don't order it.
But like that's one of those things that it's easy to pick off the olives if they do. Like,
Okay,
But you understand.
they just
But the
throw it in, like that's the last,
Okay.
the olives, the fucking olives and the brine sit on everything, and you know they were there, and you can still taste them.
Okay, two things. One is I've gone to the habit, especially if you're picking up food that you ordered and bringing it home, especially if it's for the kids, check it before you leave. So like my kids love the mac and cheese at Corner Bakery, but they usually put like breadcrumbs on top of it, which my kids hate.
Is that is that the crazy popular bakery down there?
Yeah.
Because I was down by Mystic Museum, and they had a line like a block long.
Oh no,
get
that's
inside.
Portos that you're thinking.
Portos. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so especially if you have kids and they're very picky about something, you special order something, check it before you leave. You'll save yourself so much heartache. Two, so the rest of the TKB price.
Tommy's like, I'm never fucking having kids. To my daughter's credit, who listens to the show sometimes, she was never a picky eater. Like that, I fucking respect. She was never a picky eater.
we grew up
So
poor,
the
so we were
sandwich
just
place that
we're gonna
Mondo's
fucking
talking.
eat it.
Me too, Tommy.
So the sandwich place that
Apparently not,
Mondo's
because
talking about,
burnt down
it's in
olives.
Indio, California. And so basically, if you're a very popular drive is from like Los Angeles to Phoenix, or
What the fuck? Why are you telling people where I'm at right now?
This will be gone by the time this comes out.
You already
Yeah.
said it like 3 times.
I know. Anyways, so this big billboard that says like best sandwich in the world or something like that. Best sandwich in America voted. And for years I've been driving by there. And whenever I see like that kind of thing, I think it's bullshit. Like my like barometer just goes off like, no, it's just some like marketing thing. And then when me and Mando became friends, we were talking about places he visits. He's like, oh yeah, there's this great sandwich place called TKB. I'm like, the one that's like the best sandwich in the world. I was like, yeah, no, it's really the best sandwich in the world.
So they have a big billboard saying the #1 rated restaurant in Yelp in America, and they are. And I'm going to go ahead and go to bat for them.
Yeah, I've been there once, and the bread was really good. The sandwich itself didn't blow me away, but I was just so surprised that like, oh wait, this is actually a legit rated #1 restaurant.
I would just like to add that for anyone that cares, Mondo is currently at the La Quinta. That's a quarter of a mile away.
No, I'm not on La Quinta. I went to
room 243 at the La Quinta. That's
okay.
It was 217.
You want me to? Oh, holy shit, Jason! Holy shit! I'm in 317, and I'm at the Holiday Inn Express next to Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California, and I'll be driving home to.
Wait, you said you're in 237?
237. No, 317.
I was trying to make a Shining reference.
No, you said 217. I was like, holy shit.
Well, it's 217, I think, in the
Shining.
The Stanley version and 237 in the book.
No, it's always been 237 in the movie too.
No, they changed it.
The book.
Oh, really?
The Stanley Hotel itself is two. Oh gosh, it's now three. So the room that Stephen King rented is actually now carved into 3 rooms. So it's one of 3 numbers.
Dude,
it's 213, 15, 17, 14. It's somewhere in there, but they changed it to 237 in the movie. Yes,
in the movie because they don't want people at the real hotel freaking out about it.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can do the Goblin concert in December because I'm out of town like every week until the end of the year.
You already told us that you're not going because you're fucking lame. But yeah, the hotel actually like they don't hide it.
I don't see you motherfuckers in Las Vegas. Just saying, the greatest city in the goddamn world.
I went to see Alice Cooper in Las Vegas, and I didn't see you there.
I was probably there.
What was 2007?
All right, I think we're gonna wrap this
I might
up.
have been there.
Jason,
hold on a second, Jason. We're talking about Alice goddamn Cooper here. No, I'm just kidding. But we'll see what happens. My goal is to be there, but I can get a room at the Stanley for $300 a night. And I know it's expensive, but I've always wanted to stay at the fucking Stanley Hotel. Like,
yeah. And same difference. You can also like get a room down here and just
stay at Tommy's house
with all the candles.
With 201 candles.
The candle, the one candle.
I'll bring the 200 on my luggage. Like TSA, like, sir, what are these for? I'm like, for sex.
Okay.
You ever heard of tale?
A trivia. If you want to use candles for wax play, candles have different amount of heat they put off, and you should always try them on yourself first to make sure it's not going to hurt the person you're with.
What if you're only with yourself?
Dude, whatever floats your boat. Nothing. First of all, Jason's laughing. I'm not going to laugh because whatever floats your boat, that's what you should do. It makes you happy. That advice, what makes you happy, you should fucking do. Except for heroin. Like, you shouldn't do heroin, even makes you happy. That's just bad for everybody involved. Jason, fucking what, dude? Like 10 days from now, we're gonna be we're gonna be in LA together.
What if whatever makes you happy is posting about your hate for immigrants because you're Glenn Jacobs?
Well, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. Oh wait, yeah, I can.
Oh my god.
You know what, dude? Like, all I know.
You think you heard what I said
about motherfucking Glenn Jacobs is that he was only WWE champ for one day because Austin beat that ass the day after he won the belt at King of the Ring 98 when his brother got in the ring and bloodied Steve Austin in the first blood match. And Steve Austin came on Raw and beat that ass and won the belt back. So fuck you, Kane, for your one-day title reign. That's some bullshit. Anyone can hold a title for one day, right? Am I right? It's how many times you defend the title that makes sense.
I don't think they're real brothers.
Do you believe that's a possibility? But I do believe that he may have actually killed his parents. based on recent things that have come out in the media.
All right.
I hate to bust your bubble. I don't really think they're real brothers.
You know, in the storied history of Dash the Curves, we've definitely had some episodes that have gone off the rails, but this one might take the cake.
So if anybody who didn't listen to the old episodes, if you find the episode that after the Golden Knights lost in the playoffs, that one went off the fucking rails because I'm pretty sure I insulted all of I think we have 0 listeners to Canada after that goddamn episode. I love my Canadian friends though. So
I would just like to say I blame you 3 for it going off the rails. I brought notes. And I say 3 because it's partially Jody's fault for not being here.
I watched the episode 20 minutes ago, half asleep, and I really loved it, but it's just been a long week. It's been a really long week. And but what I will say is realistically, and this is not trying to joke or be funny, but seriously, like this, I needed this tonight, and this is good for me, and I'm really happy we got together to do this because it's been a rough week, and this is the biggest smile I've had on my face in 4 days. So thank you guys for coming together tonight and doing this. Thank you, Tommy, for being an avid listener. And it warms my heart when you give us good feedback, man. It really does. Like I don't mean that lightly. And furthermore,
the other thing that was not discussed, hopefully everyone who's listened to this has already listened to Jason's interview with David McGiffert, because that was a fucking banger.
Oh, man, I'm not gonna lie, I finished editing it last night, but just doing this because Jason actually edited it. I just put our filters through it. I listened to about 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes or so, and I'm like, damn it, that's gonna be my 5-hour drive home tomorrow. It's gonna be on the docket. So it's granted, it sounded pretty cool. And
there's a lot of really good Back to the Future doc, all 3 movies. And then also, like, it just really fits the theme well because, I mean, he worked on And All Through the House, one of the original episodes.
Yeah.
And so much of this story is being a dad. So, like, it's fucking 10 for 10 interview for this show.
Oh, thank you. It's just I completely forgot to mention that earlier in the episode. But we have an interview out with a man named David McGiffert. And Tommy made a note about it because he's better at this than we are.
Hey, Tommy, show me your notes again because you got some good ass handwriting, dude.
Oh no, it's on graphic paper because I'm an engineer.
I'm an engineer too. I have those field notes notebooks. That's what I like.
Okay, so I was put in contact with a gentleman named David McGiffert. He is a assistant director since like the 70s. He has a book coming out, and he basically worked on movies from like King Kong 76 to Tootsie and Rain Man and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he became like Robert Zemeckis's go-to assistant director for a lot of his stuff in the 80s and early 90s. And he has some we did a great interview, great stories. He also has a great father story where basically he put his career on hold to help his daughter become an Olympic level gymnast.
Holy shit, that's some straight like Miranda shit. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
That's so cool.
So you get some greats, and he also worked on again the And All Through the House episode. So you get some great, really good Hollywood stories, a lot of good behind the scenes stuff. And he actually gave me a copy of his book. I'm like halfway through it, which if you know me, I'm a slow reader, so that's actually a big compliment if I can read a book that quickly. Book is really good. It's again even more stuff than we talk in there. Stuff about like he's supposed to hang out with Natalie Wood like the week before she passed away. And Paul Newman stories and a lot of great stuff. So check out his book. Check out the interview. It's one of those people I never heard of until a couple weeks ago. He's the nicest guy, and I'm so grateful that I got to spend some time with him, and hopefully put his work out there for more people to know about.
All right, the
other thing that was great about too was like so much like he was just so like humble about how much his career was just kind of fell into his lap and dumb luck, and like there's a lot of other people that had similar stories but just have the ego and just were like, well, I'm like, the ego makes them think they deserved it, but like he was just the humbleness of the guy too was just amazing. Like
Yeah,
so
he's
that's
so
amazing in
nice.
this.
I mean, one thing I love about, I mean, I'll use Al Katz as example, our friend Uncle Al, is that Al knows his shit was good, but he talks about it with such an enthusiasm because it's like whether 10 people or 10,000 people liked his work, he just enjoyed doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of in the first 20 minutes, that shines through on David's interview too, that they just love what they're doing. And I'm a big believer that like if you actually love what you're doing, other people will eventually find and love it too.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. And again, it doesn't matter if it's one person or 10,000 people or 100,000 people. Granted, you make more money if 100,000 people love it. But I do think a big portion of being a creative or anything like that is doing what you love. And it's kind of cool because it really shines through.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you, Tommy, for reminding me about that, and thank you, Tommy, for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Something we actually can put out, even though we're all sloppy as hell tonight.
But please, Tommy, did you have fun at least with our watch and chat when we were just shit faced?
Oh, I had fun. It's just like I don't want. No one ever is going to want to sit down and watch and or listen to that,
which is fine. What I'm telling you guys is sign up our Patreon, and for the next one, you get to come on, and we'll get shit faced and watch some fucking goofy movie too, and have a. Yeah. And granted, Chopping Mall is not just a goofy movie. Chopping Mall is an amazing movie, but and
a blessedly short movie.
Yeah, come and hang out, man. Let's fucking drink some beers and smoke some pots.
It was a very good like friends hanging out and shooting the shit and getting fucked up thing, but it wasn't a very good like, hey, other people listen to this and have fun. Us listening to us have fun.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things that's going to be better in a live setting. Plus, for our Patreon audience too, and we talked about this, and I'll cut this out if Jason changes his mind. But we'll start doing when we do these, when we record, we'll start broadcasting that live too, so you can hang out and see the before the scenes, after the scenes, and see how fucking off the rails we get. And if you guys too, as any of our handful of patrons out there, if you guys have any requests, let us know, because we're always open for ears. And thank you guys.
Thank you for having me on, even though it was last minute.
Dude, thanks for being here, man.
Definitely. I any other time you want me on, I'd be happy to be here and try to do as much research. But like this is, I mean, a banger of an episode that I'm like
banger indeed.
Yeah, when I saw that Jason wanted me to be on this one, I got really excited because this is top tier.
I get pretty excited anytime Jason wants me. So
all right.
Jason wants you, and there's candles involved.
Hey, man. Hopefully
next in 2 weekends.
20
candles.
The 24th there'll be some candles and some sausages. Hopefully Jason still for some sausages on the 24th. To our listener, my wife wants to go see Rammstein in California, and I hate Rammstein. So I'm gonna drop her off, and then I'm gonna go hang out with my boo here. Me and Jason gonna hang out and have a good time.
If Jason offers for you to dance with his wife around 200 candles,
I'll tell you right now, as a faithfully married man, that's not gonna happen. Not that Jason have any ill intention, but the 200 candles are fucking weird. No matter who you are. Like if I drive home tomorrow, if there's 200 candles lit in my house, I'm gonna go to a hotel. Like I'm not even gonna stay in the.
Should I tell Kelly? Should I message Kelly real quick?
Hey, if there's 196 candles, we're in. 200 candles, it crossed.
Yeah, just see you walking like, okay,
you're over the line.
I'd just be concerned that the first candle would burn out by the time I lit the last one. That's a lot of work.
Real fast. What the fuck is this with Hobbs giving me the raspberries up here? Look at him. Look at smug tiger with his paper hat.
Hey, Hobbs
no, he's looking at Calvin. You can't see Calvin behind you. But you know who's behind me?
Is it Calvin?
It is
Odorous Orungus.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
Anyhow, thank you guys for listening. We'd really appreciate it if you left us a rating review on Spotify or iTunes. And check out our Patreon page at Dads from the Crypt. Thank you, as always, for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Don't forget, next week we're reviewing Food for Thought. All right, I'll let that go. We out.
This is all going on the air, brother.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.